Hello and welcome. I'm immigration attorney Kaylani Hawks Villafranca. I have an immigration law firm based in Austin, Texas, serving clients from around the world. Most of my clients are entrepreneurs and professionals who want to move to the United States to expand their careers, their businesses, and their futures here. Today, I want to share with you a recent approval that we received for an E-2 investor visa case. I want to talk to you about this case in particular because it has what some might consider a lower investment amount, but I have seen success with these kinds of cases before and again with this case. And so I wanted to share with you what that looks like and to explain if that might be possible for you. I want you to start thinking about it and really analyze your case in more detail as well. Keep in mind, this case approval doesn't in any way indicate that your case could be approved. The only way to know that is to have a consultation with a qualified immigration attorney who has experience in this area to understand the possibilities for success in your case. Give me a call if you want to analyze your case and we'll talk more. All right, let's go. Okay, as you guys know, the E-2 investor visa is a visa that anyone can apply for if you're from a treaty country with the United States. Mexico has a treaty with the United States to support this kind of visa, and the case I'm going to talk to you about today is for a Mexican national. The E-2 investor visa is much more complex than we'll get into today, but I have a lot of videos that I've done on this topic that you can go find if you want to learn more. For today, all you need to know is that to win this case, you need to invest money in your U.S. business. So what case was this? I recently handled a case for a client who is from a non-treaty country. So he is from Venezuela. Venezuela doesn't have a treaty with the United States to support E-2 visas, but he's also a citizen of Spain and a resident of Mexico. So because of his Spanish citizenship, we could apply for the visa for him, but within Mexico because he lives there. So we had some great options for this client, even though at first glance, based on his country of birth, he wasn't going to be eligible for an E-2 visa. So we applied in Mexico for his U.S. company for an E-2 visa. His U.S. company installs mechanical equipment on boats. He opened a business in Florida and had invested about $50,000. This client in particular was very concerned about the investment amount because he'd had a lot of attorneys tell him, you have to invest $100,000, you have to invest $200,000, and they wouldn't take his case. Now, I can't say why they chose to do that or not. Everybody runs their firm in the way that they feel best for them, and that may have been the right decision. But what I do know is that it can be possible to win a case with an investment below $100,000 because I've done it many times for my clients. And it really depends not on the amount of money you've invested, but on your company and the relationship between your company and the amount of money you've invested. What the law says is not that there's a minimum investment amount. There's not. There's no minimum amount of money written into the law that you have to invest. What the law says is that your investment has to be proportional to your company. What that means for a new company is that you have to have actually invested the amount of money needed to get the company up and running. Now, for certain businesses, that can be very little. I started my business with a $10,000 investment and have grown it to a very functional business with tons of employees and lots of happy clients. I didn't need a big investment because I offer services. I don't have goods. I don't have inventory. I don't need a warehouse. And so a lot of my clients in the service business in particular struggle to start their business with a huge investment because it's just not needed. And so if that's you, I want you to listen up about this case. This case was not a service business. It's an installation business of products. My client does sell a service doing the installation, but he also purchases the product and sells that. He works with different manufacturers and their brands. But he really didn't truly need a big investment to get his business up and running. He knew that because he ran a similar kind of business in Mexico, and he knew exactly the amount of money that he needed to get the business up and running. And he, of course, being an astute business person, didn't want to spend more than was necessary. So he and I talked about it, and I said, I think that if we can get above $50,000, we'll have a really strong case. We might be able to win with less than that, but lower than that starts to create some risk that the official's going to think, I don't know that you've quite spent enough to have any skin in the game, because that matters as well. You have to be committed to the success of your business. And one of the ways they look at your commitment to the success of your business is how much you've put into the business. That being said, it is possible to win cases with a lower amount. I have not personally filed cases at $20,000 or $30,000. I would be willing to do so if the client understood the possibility of approval or not. or if the company really didn't need any more money. I spoke with a colleague recently who got an approval, I think it was around $23,000 for a services company. And that was in Mexico as well. Got an approval in Mexico for around $23,000 for a company that offered services. I don't know more about that case, so I can't explain it, but I want you to know it is possible and that somebody's made it happen. For this case, we had an investment of about $50,000 before paying legal fees. Keep in mind, my legal fees, other professional fees that you pay can be counted as part of your investment. And so that helps increase your investment, but we never want that to be a meaningful percentage of your investment. We don't want it to be most of your investment. We don't want it to be the most important thing we present to the government official, because it looks really strange. And I wouldn't do a case like that. But we can count legal fees and other professional fees because they're money that you're spending as part of your investment in your U.S. business to get you there to run it. So we count those as well. So he focused on startup costs that would be needed to run his business. And that's because we have to show once you have your visa, your business is ready to go. So he had to have everything ready so that by the time he got his visa and got to the U.S., he just had to hit the ground running because he already had everything in place. So we put the case together for him and showed his investment of around $50,000 and presented the case in Mexico. We originally filed in Ciudad Juarez because that was moving more quickly than Mexico City. In Mexico, you can file your E-2 investor case either in Juarez or La Ciudad de Mexico. Juarez was moving more quickly, so we filed there. After we filed, they started moving more slowly. So we transferred the case to Mexico City. We've also done the opposite. You can file your case in Mexico City and then transfer your case to Ciudad Juarez. So when we file your case, we always keep an eye on what's going on and see, okay, is this place moving quickly? Is it moving slowly? Do we need to think about a transfer? And that's part of the legal strategy in your case, is keeping an eye on those processing times so we can get your case approved as quickly as possible. This case was pending for about 2 months before we got notice from the other consulate that they were moving quickly. We chose to transfer the case, and an interview was granted about 3 weeks later. And the case was approved about a month after we transferred to the new location. The client reported that his interview was not very challenging at all. And that's what we always expect, that we always prepare our clients for a really hard interview, but we hope and expect that they won't get a hard interview because we prepare our cases in a way that is very clear. The official asked about the business, about whether or not he had a lease, asked about some of his contracts with some of the major brands that he was going to be working with, made sure he is who he says he is, and then he got an approval. Because he is from Spain, he got a 5-year approval of his visa. His visa was processed in Mexico, and the Mexican treaty with the United States supports visas for 4 years. But it doesn't matter where you process your visa, it matters where you're from. So he was applying as a Spanish national, so he got a 5-year visa because Spain's treaty allows for a 5-year visa for investor visas. So my client's now in the US, happily running his business, very busy, and I'm excited to see what's next for him. If you would like to talk more about investor visas or other visas that might be available to you, give me a call. Let's chat. Hasta muy pronto. Bye.